If you're over 60, I need you to pay close attention to what I'm about to share with you, because this could be one of the most important 8 minutes you spend all week. Your kidneys are working right now, quietly, in the background, filtering your blood, balancing your fluids, keeping your bones strong. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Your kidneys can lose up to 60% of their function before you ever feel a single symptom. Think about that for a moment. You could be sitting there this morning, coffee in hand, feeling perfectly fine, while something is already changing beneath the surface. That's exactly why kidney trouble is often called the silent condition. It doesn't announce itself with a dramatic moment. It doesn't send up a flare. Instead, it whispers. A little more tired than usual. Ankles that seem puffier by evening. A trip to the bathroom that feels different. Most of us brush these things off. We blame it on age. We blame it on a bad night's sleep or too much salt at dinner or simply getting older. And sometimes that's all it is. But sometimes it isn't. Today, I want to walk you through 7 signs. Signs that are easy to miss, easy to explain away, and yet worth knowing about. Not to frighten you, not to send you into a panic. But because knowledge at this stage of life is one of the most powerful tools you have. Some of these signs might surprise you. One of them has nothing to do with how you feel physically at all. It shows up somewhere you'd never expect to look. So if you've been feeling a little off lately and couldn't quite explain why, or if you simply want to protect the health you've worked so hard to maintain, stay with me. This one's for you. Let's start with something most people never stop to think about. Your kidneys are 2 of the hardest working organs in your entire body, and yet they rarely get any credit. Every single day, they filter about 30 gallons of blood. They remove waste. They balance your sodium and potassium. They help control your blood pressure. They even send out a signal that tells your bone marrow to make red blood cells, all day, every day, without you ever noticing. That's what makes changes in kidney health so tricky to catch. There's no alarm bell, no obvious moment where you think something is wrong here. Instead, the signs tend to sneak in sideways, disguised as ordinary. Everyday tiredness or minor annoyances you'd never connect to something deeper. And if you're over 60, this matters even more than it used to. Here's why. As we get older, kidney function naturally declines, even in healthy people. It's just part of the aging process, the same way eyesight or hearing can gradually shift. But for many people, that natural decline gets sped up by things that are extremely common after 60. High blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, years of certain medications, or simply not drinking enough water the way we used to when we were younger. Maybe that sounds familiar. Maybe you've been managing blood pressure for years. Maybe diabetes runs in your family, or you're keeping an eye on your own blood sugar. Maybe you've taken ibuprofen for your knees more days than you can count. None of that automatically means trouble. But it does mean your kidneys have been working a little harder for a little longer than someone in their 30s or 40s. So here's the first sign worth paying attention to, and it's one almost everyone dismisses at first. Unusual fatigue. Not the kind of tired you feel after a long day of yard work. A deeper, heavier tiredness that doesn't go away with rest. Here's why this happens. When kidneys aren't filtering waste as efficiently, toxins can build up in your bloodstream. At the same time, healthy kidneys help produce a hormone that tells your body to make red blood cells. When kidney function dips, that hormone production can dip too, leading to a mild form of anemia. And anemia, in plain terms, means your body isn't getting enough oxygen-rich blood delivered where it needs to go. The result? You feel drained, foggy, like get up and go, got up and left. Many people chalk this up to just getting older or not sleeping well, and sometimes that really is all it is. But if you've noticed a tiredness that feels different, one that coffee doesn't fix, one that naps don't touch, it's worth paying attention to. The second sign is one almost nobody expects. Changes in your skin. Dry, itchy skin that no amount of lotion seems to help. When kidneys aren't filtering properly, waste products and minerals can build up in your blood instead of leaving your body the way they should. That buildup can trigger itching that feels like it's coming from deep under the skin, not just on the surface. It's easy to blame it on dry winter air or getting older, and often that's exactly what it is. But persistent, unexplained itching that lotion doesn't touch is something worth mentioning to your doctor. Now, here's where things get interesting, because the next sign is one most people would never in a million years connect to their kidneys. It has to do with your feet. Specifically, swelling in your ankles and feet that seems to show up out of nowhere by the end of the day. Here's what's happening. Healthy kidneys help regulate the amount of sodium and fluid in your body. When they're not doing that job as efficiently, Fluid can start to collect in the lowest parts of your body, usually your feet and ankles, thanks to gravity. You might notice your socks leave deeper marks than they used to. Maybe your shoes feel tighter by evening, even though they fit fine in the morning. Many people assume this is just from sitting too long, or standing on their feet at the grocery store, or simply getting older. And sometimes that really is the explanation. But when it happens consistently, day after day, especially in both feet at once, it's worth paying closer attention to. Here's a common misunderstanding I want to clear up because it trips a lot of people up. Swelling in the feet is often blamed entirely on poor circulation. And circulation can absolutely play a role. But circulation and kidney function are more connected than most people realize. Your kidneys help control blood pressure, and blood pressure directly affects circulation throughout your entire body, right down to your toes. So when someone says, "It's just my circulation," that might be true, but it's also worth asking what's influencing that circulation in the first place. Now let's talk about something a little more personal, something most people notice but almost never mention to anyone, not even their doctor. Changes in urination. This is where a lot of confusion happens, so let's clear it up gently and honestly. Needing to urinate more often, especially at night, can be one of the earliest noticeable signs. You might find yourself waking up 2 or 3 times after you've already gone to bed, something that didn't used to happen. On the flip side, some people notice the opposite, urinating less than usual, or noticing foam or bubbles in the toilet bowl that weren't there before. Foamy urine, in particular, surprises a lot of people. It can be a sign that protein is leaking into your urine instead of staying in your bloodstream where it belongs, something your kidneys are supposed to prevent. Occasional foam isn't usually cause for alarm. But if you're noticing it consistently, that's a detail worth mentioning at your next appointment, not something to quietly wonder about at home. Here's a real-life example that captures how sneaky this can be. Imagine a woman in her late 60s, let's call her Linda. Linda felt totally fine, no pain, no obvious symptoms. But she mentioned to her doctor, almost as an afterthought, that she'd been getting up more at night to use the bathroom. She figured it was just one of those things that happens with age. Her doctor ran a simple urine test, and it turned out her kidney function had quietly declined more than expected. Because she mentioned that one small detail, her doctor was able to step in early, adjust her medications, and help protect her kidneys before things progressed further. That's the pattern here. It's rarely one dramatic symptom. It's a handful of small, easy-to-dismiss details that together tell a bigger story. The next sign catches almost everyone off guard because it doesn't seem to have anything to do with your kidneys at all. It shows up in your mouth. Some people develop a persistent metallic taste or notice their food suddenly tastes different than it used to, even meals they've cooked the same way for years. This happens because of that same buildup of waste products in the bloodstream we talked about earlier. It can also lead to bad breath that brushing and mouthwash just don't seem to fix. And here's a detail that surprises almost everyone. A change in taste can sometimes lead to a loss of appetite or unintentional weight loss, simply because food doesn't taste appealing anymore. Family members often notice this before the person experiencing it does. A daughter might comment that mom hasn't been eating much lately, or a husband might notice his wife pushing food around her plate instead of finishing her usual portion. If any of this is sounding a little too familiar, take a breath. None of these signs, on their own, mean something is seriously wrong. Plenty of people experience 1 or 2 of these, and it turns out to be nothing more than normal aging, dehydration, or a medication side effect. The goal here isn't to worry you. It's to help you notice patterns, the way Linda's doctor did, so you can speak up before small changes become bigger ones. And that brings us to something incredibly important. What you can actually do about all of this, starting today. Let's talk about what actually protects your kidneys, because this is where things get genuinely encouraging. Kidney health isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you can influence every single day through small, manageable choices. Let's start with the one everybody's heard before but almost nobody does correctly: staying hydrated. Here's the mistake most people make. They assume more water is always better, so they force down glass after glass, thinking they're doing their kidneys a favor. But your kidneys don't need you to drink a gallon a day. They need consistency. Small amounts spread throughout the day work far better than chugging a big glass all at once and then forgetting to drink anything for the next 6 hours. A simple way to check if you're getting enough. Take a look next time you go. Pale yellow is what you're aiming for. Dark yellow usually means it's time for a glass of water. Completely clear, believe it or not, can sometimes mean you're overdoing it. Now, here's something a lot of people over 60 don't realize. Your sense of thirst actually becomes less reliable as you age. Your body might genuinely need water, but the signal that used to remind you to drink gets quieter. That's why so many older adults end up mildly dehydrated without ever feeling thirsty. A good habit here is to keep a glass of water next to your favorite chair, or fill it up each morning alongside your coffee, so drinking becomes part of your routine instead of something you have to remember. Next, let's talk about something that surprises a lot of people. Your blood pressure and your kidneys are in a two-way relationship. High blood pressure can damage your kidneys over time, but struggling kidneys can also raise your blood pressure. It works both directions, which is exactly why keeping your blood pressure in a healthy range is one of the single most protective things you can do. This doesn't mean you need to overhaul your entire life overnight. It means small things done consistently. A short walk around the block after dinner instead of heading straight for the recliner. Choosing the low-sodium soup at the grocery store instead of the regular one. Asking your pharmacist to double-check whether any of your current medications could be affecting your blood pressure or your kidneys, especially common pain relievers like ibuprofen, which many people take far more often than they realize. That's actually one of the biggest overlooked mistakes I see. Over-the-counter pain relievers. A pill here, a pill there, for arthritis or a sore back or a headache. Individually, they seem harmless. But taken regularly, over months and years, certain pain relievers can put extra strain on your kidneys, especially if you're also managing blood pressure or diabetes. This doesn't mean you need to suffer through pain unnecessarily. It means it's worth having an honest conversation with your doctor about which options are safest for long-term, regular use. Let's talk about diabetes for a moment, because if you're managing blood sugar, this next part matters enormously. High blood sugar, over time, can damage the tiny blood vessels inside your kidneys that do the actual filtering. This is exactly why doctors recommend regular kidney function tests for anyone with diabetes. Even if you're feeling completely fine, it's not about assuming something's wrong. It's about catching small changes early, while they're still easy to manage. Here's a story that illustrates this beautifully. A retired teacher named Robert had managed his diabetes for over a decade. He felt great, walked his dog every morning, gardened on weekends, the picture of a healthy retirement. But at his annual checkup, a routine urine test showed a small amount of protein that hadn't been there the year before. His doctor didn't panic, and neither did Robert. Instead, they made a few adjustments together. A slight change in medication, a bit more attention to his diet, a few more glasses of water throughout the day. A year later, his numbers had stabilized, nothing dramatic. Just small, informed choices, made early. That's the real lesson here. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness paired with action. Diet plays a role too, and the good news is, protecting your kidneys doesn't mean giving up everything you enjoy. It means paying attention to a few key things. Sodium is the big one, since it's hiding in far more foods than most people expect. From canned soups to deli meat to your favorite frozen dinner. Reading labels, even just glancing at the sodium content before you toss something in your cart, can make a real difference over time. Protein is another area worth understanding, though this one's a bit more nuanced. Your body needs protein, especially as you age, to maintain muscle strength. But if kidney function has already started to decline, your doctor might recommend adjusting how much you're eating. This is exactly why these conversations are best had with your own doctor, who knows your specific numbers, rather than following generic advice you might see online. And finally, movement. You don't need to run marathons or join a gym you'll never visit. Something as simple as a daily walk, gardening, or dancing in your kitchen while dinner's on the stove helps regulate blood pressure, supports circulation, and gives your whole body, kidneys included, exactly the kind of gentle, consistent support it thrives on. None of this requires perfection. It requires attention. And now that you know what to look for and what to do about it, let's bring this all together. So let's bring this all together, because here's what I really want you to walk away with today. Your kidneys don't ask for much. They don't demand attention the way a sore knee does, or a stiff back, or a headache that won't quit. They just quietly do their job, day after day, year after year, asking only for a little bit of water, a little bit of movement, and a little bit of your attention every once in a while. Let's remind ourselves of what to watch for, not to worry over, but to simply notice. Unusual fatigue that doesn't lift with rest. Dry, itchy skin that lotion doesn't fix. Swelling in your feet and ankles by the end of the day. changes in how often or how much you're using the bathroom, foam that lingers, a metallic taste or appetite that's changed without explanation. None of these, on their own, mean something is seriously wrong. But together, especially if more than one sounds familiar, they're worth mentioning at your next appointment. Not with panic, just with the same honesty Linda showed and the same steady partnership Robert had with his doctor. Here's what I hope you take from this conversation more than anything else. You are not powerless here. You have far more influence over your kidney health than most people realize. A glass of water by your favorite chair, a short walk after dinner, asking your pharmacist one honest question about your pain reliever, reading a label before it goes in your cart. These aren't dramatic changes. They're small, steady habits, and small, steady habits are exactly what your kidneys respond to best. You've taken care of a lot of people in your life. Your kids, maybe your grandkids, your parents, your friends. It's more than okay to turn some of that same attention toward yourself now. If something in today's video sounded a little too familiar, don't sit with it quietly. Bring it up at your next appointment. A simple blood test and urine test can tell your doctor almost everything they need to know, and catching small changes early is one of the most powerful things you can do for your long-term health. Take care of yourself the way you've spent your life taking care of everyone else. You've earned that. And if this video gave you something worth remembering, share it with someone you love. You never know whose small symptom it might help explain.